There are many ways to live a full life. And, we're raised as young women to think it's marriage, it's kids in that order.
Okay, can y'all tell me what are the other ways to have a full life? I wonder if she's going to get into that. What are the other ways? Are we saying, okay, getting a career? Is it traveling? Okay, is it having a degree? Like, what are the other ways to have a full life outside of the natural human desire to want to have a family? Michelle Obama is saying this while she literally had a special guest not too long ago. This again, Tracee Ellis Ross, who talks about the grief that she had of not having a partner and kids, not having it. And again, we've never seen Tracee Ellis Ross is very much a modern woman in all of its capacity. But I want to play this real quick because again, this is the context. They're like around the same, they're like in the same circle around the same age. And so Michelle Obama with a husband married to one of the most powerful men in the world with children saying, oh, well, as a multimillionaire, by the way, all the status, all the money you could ever have, literally talking about, oh, well, you don't need to have that to be happy. One of her peers has status, money, doesn't have the family and kids, and is talking about grief. I just wanted to keep this in the back of your mind. I'm gonna play this real quick as a quick side note, and then I'll go back to what she said.
Grief does surface for me around not having children and not having a partner. I still wouldn't want the wrong partner.
That's a great point for people to hear.
I'm not interested in that. You have to make my life better. It can't just be, I'm in a relationship to be in a relationship. So even though the grief does emerge and that comes and I hold that, I think of what I've done and I woke up every morning trying to do my best.
Mhm.
I didn't wake up one morning and be like, I'm gonna mess this day up.
That's right.
So I must be where I'm supposed to be. And I don't know, sometimes I think of all of the things I've done, the courage that I've had to have and what I've had to learn how to navigate as a single person with no one to hide behind.
Yes.
And it's built a really beautiful experience around me. And I have incredible friends. And as much as grief does surface for me around not having children and not having a partner, I still...
Okay, so I just wanted to play that real quick. She was very honest. She was like, look, grief happens, but also I don't want to set off the wrong one, but grief happens. I mean, now the alternative is going to say, oh, it's better to be single and have grief than it is to have been in a relationship and had marriage and have family and a breakup. And listen, every individual person is different. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince someone either way. But what I will say is, I think it's actually very dangerous to try to push women or try to convince them out of heterosexuality, out of a natural design. And what I think we're going to see in this 1 minute and 36-second clip is a whole lot of narrative on trying to convince women not to be what they actually are and to not desire what is actually they've been doing since like the majority of human history. Because I saw this one right here, like different people have a different definition of full life. And I agree. I do believe that there are some people out there, genuinely believe there are people out there, some who are like really okay by themselves, like really, really fulfilled and satisfied. I truly believe that. I believe that they are the minority. That certainly isn't over 75% of Black women. Certainly not over 75% of Black American women are meant to be single by themselves, living full, satisfied lives. No, that is not that. That is pointing to a deeper problem that is yet to be addressed. And so the thing about Tracee Ellis Ross, you see her, she acknowledges the grief and she calls the grief, but then she still's like, but this must have been the universe's will for me, because I couldn't settle for anything less than. And I'm like, well, it could be that, but why is there also not a conversation of, was it really settling, or were there perhaps ideas about relationship that didn't really serve you, that haven't served women for quite some time? It's quite frankly, it served them so poorly that more and more women are having a hard time finding anything that makes them satisfied. But anyways, let's continue. That was a bit of a side note, but I wanted to bring that up because I thought it was interesting. She's talking about how you can still have a fulfilling life. And here Michelle Obama says that, and here she has a peer coming on her podcast who's been a very successful woman, has all the accolades, all the career that you could have, and likely a lot of bodies, and says that she actually experiences grief for not having a family. But then she focuses on the things that she's been able to done and the friends that she's established in the meantime. But I thought that was very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, let's continue.
And that's one thing we don't have control over. You don't know if you're going to fall in. There are many ways to live a full life. And we're raised as young women to think it's marriage, it's kids in that order. And that's one thing we don't have control over. You don't know if you're going to fall in love. You don't know if you're going to find the right person. You don't know how life is going to unfold. That's the truth. And I find that I know some of my young men, it's marriage, it's kids in that order. And that's one thing we don't have control over.
Okay, and here's where I don't. So you don't. Y'all caught that? You don't have control over when you decide to lay down and have a baby. Women don't have control over that. Women don't have control on whether or not they're going to have a child within the context of a marriage versus not. They're just babies. Babies are just forced on them. That's not some of the stuff has to be scripted because it's like, this is not even logical. Okay, let me continue. I don't know. I thought that listening to that, I'm just like, huh? Like who? What? What? Since when did women not have the ability to decide who they're going to have a baby with? Since when did women lose the ability to decide when they're going to lay down and like what? Okay, let me just continue. Let me continue.
You don't know if you're going to fall in love. You don't know if you're going to find the right person.
Okay, people in her elite circle don't marry for love all the time. They don't marry for love. We're talking about a global leader. Their ideas and perception around marriage are a lot different than the random person in lower middle class who's just trying to get by and just wants to have somebody to share life with and share bills with and just have. When you're a global leader, you marry for different reasons. So also I'm just like, why are you talking like you're like just an average person? That's not how people in your class even work. Marriage itself can be very political. It is oftentimes very political. Not to say that there aren't politicians who genuinely love each other. They don't move on that level. Elites. Arranged marriage happens still to this day. So I'm like, huh? Like that's not that. What? Okay, let's continue.
You don't know how life is going to unfold. That's the truth. And I find that I know some of my young mentees feel less than because they haven't found somebody or they haven't had a child. And it breaks my heart because these are beautiful, smart women who have amazing lives. But because one piece of the puzzle isn't there, a piece that they've been told their whole lives they should want and have.
Yeah, this is the stuff where I think this is the BS. This is, to me, this is where I'm like, okay, now this is the propaganda. We're acting like women went to school where they read books every single day that says you have to have a marriage and children. You have to have marriage and children. You have to have marriage. Like we're acting like women went in these like concentration camps and were programmed to just want a family and a man. Oh my gosh, they programmed them. It's like, no, this is literally called heterosexuality. What are y'all talking about? This is what people want to do. People have been having family and kids since beginning of human history, that's how we still exist. So why are we now, like, they add these words as programming, as if there was like this deep dark conspiracy and Big Brother went in and tried to tell all the women that they needed to have kids and they needed to have a marriage or else they're weird. And I was just like, no, that's just what it calls. That's, again, that's biology. Biology is kicking in. Biology has kicked in. So that's where it gets weird to me. I can understand saying, listen, you continue to live your life. If you want to have a career or have skill or have trait that you develop, man and woman, I don't see anything wrong with that. But we don't now have to go and try to convince women to not like or desire what they have been desiring since for like beginning of time. We don't have to try to convince ourselves that, oh no, we just held on to some old patriarchal ideas, and if we unprogram these unpatriarchal ideas, now we're not going to want to have a family and kids anymore. No, that's stupid. That is stupid. You can actually have a trade and have a career and still develop a relationship and still develop family. And that's a whole other issue I don't like. That's another thing, because how many times have I heard a woman talk about, oh, I'm just focusing on my career, I'm just focusing on myself, as if you can't multitask, as if women can't raise families and still have jobs or side jobs or careers or have their own trade. Women have done both like forever. Literally have always done both. Maybe in different capacities. Maybe they weren't in corporate, maybe they weren't in the desk, maybe they were basket weaving or working on the farm or sewing or whatever, but women have always had, across different societies, they've had their own trade and they've had families. So it's like, yeah, no, women can do both. So why are we now acting like as if there has to be you have to choose? You have to try to convince yourself to create a life outside of what's actually quite natural and biological. That's where I think it's stupid. And no, we don't, like, women weren't like programmed from day one to think that, oh, they only need a family, only need babies. They didn't go to concentration camps where they were put brain chips in them that told them that they only need the man and a child. And it's like, no, a lot of that is just natural stuff. And can we just be natural? Can we just be normal, please? Like, and that's what's so weird to me. It's like, you're married. You are married with kids. Why don't you sit here? You got 26% of Black women don't know how to marry. Why don't you sit up there and teach them how to have a successful marriage? Because y'all know that having kids born in marriages where the daddy and the mom is there, that is the best chance that child has of succeeding. That's the best chance that Black family has of succeeding. So why are you sitting up there and pushing BS? Why don't you sit up there and teach these ladies how to be wives? That would be more. Why don't you tell your mentees, you know what? I see you still have a beautiful life, but I also see that you want a relationship. Let me help you. Don't sit there and try to convince them to be happy. And then now 3-4 decades later, they got to go on podcasts and talk about how they're grieving because they never found love. Why don't you teach them how to find love? That's the stuff that's so annoying to me. It's like they're recycling the same stupid talking points. It's dumb. It's dumb. Oh, it's so annoying. Sitting up there married to the most powerful man talking about, oh, well, you don't have to be married and have kids to be happy. All these elite women out there, like some of y'all said Beyonce, but they're talking about this. Ciara doing this. She was talking the same thing in her music up there married with what now her husband wants 5 kids. Kylie Rowland, she's up there married. Y'all notice how a lot of these elite women are married? A lot of them are married. But we'll try to sit here and convince you that you don't need marriage or family to be happy. And it's like, first of all, you're a multimillionaire. You don't understand. You're in a whole different class. Plus, you're married with kids. How about you be married without kids and then sit up here and say that? At least he had Tracee Ellis Ross, who was somewhat honest and just like, actually, I grieve this. I still try to find happiness some other ways, but I grieve the fact that I don't have this, and now I gotta be with dudes half my age just to relate with men. I'm like, can y'all be honest? Let's continue. I'm almost done here. And then, guys, if you like what's going on here, like, share, subscribe. Also, show some support on the Cash App, Venmo. Y'all know the drill. I'm almost done. Wait, where'd you go? Sorry, I lost it. Where'd you go? Okay.
It's almost like life has no purpose. And one of the things I want my daughters, I'm trying to deprogram them from that belief that there's a certain way to be a woman
Yeah.
in this world.
Like, what is this okay, feminism has been going on for the last like 4 or 5, what, 5, 6 decades? How long? A few decades, at least 4 or 5, arguably. Like heavy. So what is this programming? We're acting like we grew up in some like freaking Amish culture where women had to churn butter from scratch and milk the cow, and they had to dress from head to toe, and they had to get married by they were 16, and had to be pregnant by the time they were 17, and like we're acting like we live in some super traditional culture where women were given cookbooks when they were 10, and the only thing they did was cook and clean and try to have babies. Like, we live in a hyper-feminist, post-feminist society. So what is this idea of women having to be deprogrammed to put themselves first? They've been putting themselves first for the last few decades. Like, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, the logic, where is the logic? I don't see logic. This doesn't make sense at all. Like, why? And to me, again, why not actually teach them how to be wives, or teach them how to actually have a relationship? Give them those skills. And then listen, if they actually choose not to do it, that's fine too. That's fine. But it's better off giving them the tools, the mindset, the understanding, empowering them with that, and then telling them to go. Versus being like, oh, you sitting up there married to the richest man, one of the most powerful men in the world, with kids, telling other women who quite frankly can't afford to even do life by themselves that they can still be happy by themselves. I'm like, why don't you use your position to actually teach women how to actually have families? That's what you're supposed to do. I mean, from a Christian standpoint, it literally says the older women are supposed to come alongside the younger women and teach them how to have families, how to raise kids, how to build households. That's what scripture says. I'm like, I thought she was Christian. So this is to me, it definitely seems like an agenda to me. I'm like, why are you sitting up here promoting an agenda that, quite frankly, a lot of ladies can't afford? Because you sit up there and talk about how, oh, you can have a full life without a man in a career. Okay, what full life are you having making $44,000 annually in America right now with rent and gas the way it is? What full life are you having? Like, what is this powerful, liberating existence you have when you are having a hard time affording bills? So even this whole conversation, this idea is only going to apply to a particular elite, a very small percentage of Black women who are able to actually maintain themselves and have a comfortable lifestyle by themselves. Fewer and fewer women can even do that. So to me, it's so weird to me. Ugh. Okay, let me continue. Let me just kind of finish this.
Because I don't know what their future is going to hold. So I don't talk about when you become a mother.
As if the people in her class don't arrange marriages. Like, what are you talking? This is what I'm saying. Like, she's acting like she's just some other, like, random, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, she's just some random housewife sitting up in the suburbs somewhere with no power, no connections, no money, no political leverage. I'm like, y'all arrange stuff. What is going on here? Why are you talking like that's not what y'all do?
Or when you get married, I say, well, if you find somebody, if you choose that, if that's something you want for yourself, but understand that you can have a beautiful life without all that.
Absolutely.
You are not less of a person because somebody didn't choose you or you didn't find somebody. There are many ways.
And this is where I think there's some pandering too, because you want to stay in good graces with Black women for whatever reason. I don't know if there's a larger political agenda. I don't know if she's going to try to run for office. I don't know, but you want to stay in the good graces of Black women who, by and large, 26% of them, I think, or just 1 in 4, give or take, aren't married. They're not married. They don't have the kind of reality that she has. So of course you don't want to piss them off. You're going to sit there and lie to them and be like, oh, you don't need to worry about that. You can still have a really happy, fulfilling life without it. I'm like, well, what fulfilling life are Black women having, making $44,000, struggling to pay rent, struggling to purchase eggs and milk by themselves? What fulfilling life are they having when you have more of them going into the van life and they're just trying to survive? What fulfilling life? What? Because y'all know how materialistic or how impacted by materialism women can be. We all know this. So what fulfilling life are these ladies having, living in their van, can't change oil, the car broke down, don't know how to change oil, don't have money to get oil, they're depending upon people going by them and giving them money. And then again, I'm not saying this is every Black woman, but I'm telling you, like 44,000, that's like the average, right? Like Black women aren't making enough money to be able to live this lifestyle comfortably in the way that's being promoted. So this whole, oh, you can live by yourself, maybe this would have happened maybe like 40, 50 years ago, like, or 30 years ago even, maybe. There would have been enough women who could do this and create a comfortable enough life to where they had the option and be like, they're cool. But now you have ladies who aren't even able to afford life by themselves. It's not a life of freedom or a life of comfort. It's a life of struggle. So you have that struggle on top of the fact that they still may actually want family and still may want a husband or kids, but just strictly don't know how to do so because they weren't taught. Because the last 4 or 5 decades, they've been told this stupid feminist BS. This whole message, strictly from a financial standpoint, is not feasible for Black women. And then I think secondly, it is anti-God, it's anti-family, it's anti-biology. Because most women just desire to have a family. I'm not saying every. I understand that there are some who are really happy by themselves, but not like over 75%. I'm sorry. I don't believe that 75% of Black American women out there who are happily single by choice, don't want a man, are cool doing about they're chilling, they're living their best life. They're living free, although they don't have the traditional. No, I think many find themselves in that situation because they don't have older women who taught them anything differently. And that's a shame. And I'm like, here this woman has the opportunity. She has the opportunity to really share messages or share things that would be empowering, or at very least would empower a woman with choice. If you want to sit there and say, listen, you don't necessarily need to have children or marriage. Okay, fine. At least empower them with choice. Teach them what it means to be married. Teach them how do you do that successfully? What are the ideas? What are the values? What does that look like? Impart that. Don't impart this individualistic toxic feminist mindset that's been going on for decades that are actually keeping a lot of ladies single and confused in the relationship life. But it's a shame that this is what's going on to me.